We're right at 10 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this Thursday morning, the 4th day of September 2025. I have been listening a lot because we play them here on the radio station, Breakpoint and Focus on the Family Daily broadcast. Great programs, and we're honored to be able to air them here on 90.3 FM. And I can guess that they're super excited about the big documentary that's coming out tomorrow. The grand, now we wouldn't call it grand opening. What would you call it? Good morning, Dana. What would you call it when they have their first review of the new documentary that they have? Truth Rising is what it is called. Anyway, we are live on 90.3 FM, also on YouTube, lvcornerstone.com, and Facebook, LV Cornerstone for you. Want to always remind you that we have an input line, klyn903@gmail.com. If you so choose, there is where you will find us, klyn903@gmail.com. And currently on YouTube, there's Kathleen and Dana, and Andrea just jumped in this morning. Good morning to you guys, and good morning from our YouTube listeners that have joined us on the comment line. So, as I've told you, if you, if I don't see your comment, I'm not sure whether you're out there or not. So, making a little comment, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, is the way of me knowing if you are personally out there or not. And we're taking roll. Yeah. We're making sure that you abide by the terms. Revelation chapter 16, part 2 is what we are in this morning, and I am ready to go. We ended off right around the 17th verse. In the 15th and 16th verse of the 16th chapter of the book of Revelation, the sixth bowl, okay? So there were 7 bowls that are being poured out. Okay, we've talked about the 7 trumpets, 7 thunders, 7 seals, and this ongoing, or maybe just a repetitive judgment, the wrath of God being poured out upon the world. And maybe we'll have something a little bit different for you to consider on today's program. But Jody, finally, Flo, well, they're coming in. Good morning, Jody. Good morning, Flo. Thank you. Verse 15, behold, I am coming as a thief. Blessed is he who watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Let's take the word watch. Watching is, if you are not real familiar with the concept of Christian disciplines, let me just introduce that to you. Okay, we were in the scriptures today. Part of Christian discipline, we believe that we need to be in the Word of God, and that frames our understanding of who God is. We believe that we have a personal relationship with God and that we can pray, and part of the discipline that we have is that we can pray and we have this relationship. We can speak to God, and He can speak to us. Also, part of spiritual disciplines is the gathering together of His people. So it's not necessarily on a Sunday morning. It's not necessarily at a temple or a cathedral or even just a building on 2207 7th Street. It's called Cornerstone. It's the gathering together. I believe that is a spiritual discipline that we need. Fasting is another one. We don't talk about fasting a lot. But I want to tell you, if you want to amp up your Christian life and your relationship with Him, consider a fast. And a fast, usually in its raw form, is abstaining from food. Okay, that's the biblical fast. I don't think that fasting from social media is a bad thing at all. And I am on social media, as you can tell right now. But fasting is, but a watch. What is a watch? You say, blessed is he who watches. Well, a watch, and I've read books on spiritual disciplines over the years, ladies and gentlemen. I think one of the books that I had on spiritual discipline, the man identified over 40 different spiritual disciplines that we can have. But there are the basic ones, okay? Watch, George says, means remain alert. But let me tell you another definition of watch: praying throughout the night hours. If you, let me see how I can say that. I'll just say, if you deny yourself a couple of hours of sleep instead of getting the full, what the doctors are telling you, those doctors, man, I tell you anymore, what the heck are they doing, treating us like pincushions? But let's say that you decide that you're going to get up in the middle of the night, and you set your alarm, and you get up and you pray, and you're going to do it consistently for a certain amount of time. That is the discipline. So when Jesus himself says, "Behold, I am coming as a thief. Blessed is he who watches." Okay, part of watching is a spiritual discipline. I know that we should remain alert. I know that we should stay awake. I know that we should, balance our lives and make sure that our eyes are open to what God is doing in heaven, what the devil is doing in hell, and what man is trying to do here on earth all at the same time. But I believe that if you look at watchings, when Paul talks about watchings, he was talking about praying in the nighttime areas and dedicating extra time for him. So it's really kind of a form of fasting, but instead of fasting from food, you've given up some of your sleep. And I know that's not real attractive to a lot of you people out there. But good morning, Marie. I have a brother that's commenting on it, and I know he's watching because all the time, because he we will be texting each other sometimes or sending vids back and forth at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So I know that he's up on that hour, and just something. But that's how I'm starting the program off this morning, talking about the spiritual disciplines, okay? And not completely separated away from what Jesus is trying to tell his people. Behold, I am coming as a thief. And the coming of Jesus is a big topic. Every time there's a big earthquake, every time there's a war, every time there's something that happens in your world, I tell you what, the drum starts beating and the band starts playing. Jesus is coming soon. Jesus is any day now. Well, he says, I'm coming as a thief. How does the thief come? Okay. There was a time to where I could identify with how the thief came. You don't come banging the drum, but rolling out the brass band. Jesus says he's coming as a thief. Here's the scriptures we were looking at yesterday. Matthew 24, verse 43. And for you Mr. Missler fans that we play here in the morning at 8:33, in the evening at 8:33, Mr. Missler has finished Matthew, and he's starting the book of Jonah today on our program. Okay. But know this, here's Jesus talking. This is red letters, same way that it is in the 15th verse of the 16th chapter of the book of Revelation. But know this, if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched, and not allowed his house to be broken into. So Jesus is telling the people in this sixth bowl that is being poured out, okay, to watch. And that's the same thing that he was telling his disciples in Matthew chapter 24. Paul tells the Thessalonian church in chapter 5, verses 2 and 3, "For you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night." So many people are going to be surprised when Jesus comes. And not only because they didn't hear it, I believe that people will hear it. I believe that many, if not everybody, will have heard about the coming of the Lord, but Jesus still will come as a thief in the night. When they say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. Maybe that's where we're at here. And then Peter in chapter 3, 2 Peter, chapter 3, verse 10 says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night." So they said, "Let everything be established in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses." How about 3 or 4 witnesses? The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. The heavens will pass away with a great noise. The elements will melt with fervent heat. Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. Now, we're going to get into a little bit of that, especially when we get into the 17th chapter. Okay? Sorry. But what is God doing? Remember where we're headed. Okay? We're headed to a new heaven and a new earth. So when mountains are melting and islands are disappearing, God is making a new heaven and a new earth. Because Paul told us that the old, will melt with fervent heat, and we see a lot of this stuff coming down. What's happening with all these plagues and these 7 trumpets and these 7 seals, and now all the 7 bowls that are being poured out. They gathered them together in a place called Hebrew Armageddon. I don't think I read that right, but many of you know what I'm talking about. They gathered them together to the place called in Hebrew Armageddon. Now, Babylon is a central figure in this part of the scripture and in the book of Revelation. Then, verse 17, chapter 16, "Then the 7th angel poured out his bowl into the air." Okay? What has happened to some of the other bowls? Well, the ocean, the rivers, we've seen different stuff going on with the bowls that are being poured out. This one is poured out into the air. A loud voice came out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, "It is done." Finally, we got to the end. I think we've gone to the end probably at least 2 times, maybe 3 times. And that's why I'm telling you that I keep seeing this cycle, a repetitive cycle, and it just described in different ways. It's coming over in every one of the 7s. And we don't know what the 7 thunders are saying, because John was not allowed to write down what they were saying. The 7th angel poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, "It is done." Oh, it must be the end of the book. Oh, no. It's not the end of the book. There's more to come, a lot more to come. You say, well, if it's done, well, then it's done. Well, maybe we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Maybe we're going to go to another cycle and see some stuff about harlots and beasts and heads and crowns. And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings. We didn't go over this yesterday. Okay? The 7th bowl is poured out. A loud voice came out of the temple of heaven. This is not a human voice. This is not a demonic voice. This is the voice from the throne saying, "It is done." I don't know why that's not in red, but maybe I'm not understanding it properly. There were noises and thunderings and lightnings. Ooh, ooh. And there was a great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on the earth. So, like I was telling you earlier, every time there's an earthquake, somebody starts pulling out a book or writing a new letter or getting into a new podcast and say, well, this could be it, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to happen. In fact, now they're telling you is that watch out for the Hebrew feast coming up real soon. We're already in September, and George will probably tell us exactly when the feasts are coming up this fall. But there's one that's called the Feast of Trumpets, and they blow different trumpets. And is it the last trumpet? And is it the Jesus? And people, the Bible teachers, are telling us that this could be. I don't put a lot of stock in it. Okay, I don't put a lot of stock in it, but I'm ready. I want to be clothed, just like Jesus warned us. I want to watch. I want to keep my garments, and I don't want to walk naked and for them to see my shame. So we have to be recognizing on top of the fact that Jesus is coming soon, but he's coming as a thief. The seventh angel poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple from the throne saying, "It is done." Selah taking us up to the bottom of the hour with his song, "His Eye is on the Sparrow."
Why do I feel discouraged? Why do the shadows come? And why does my heart feel alone and long for heaven and home when Jesus is my portion? A constant friend is he. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. So I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free, and his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. So I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free. Yeah, his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches. And I know he watches, and I
30 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. It's a Thursday morning, the 4th day of September. I'm laughing because the beginning of the week I ordered a new golf club. Well, it was a new, okay, but it was given a 9 out of a 10 used, okay. Save some money. Thought it was going to be here today. Now they say Monday. Should have known. LVcornerstone.com is our website. KLYN903@gmail.com is our email address. And we are in the middle of a weather report today. Mostly sunny, high near 82. Temperatures falling to around 77 this afternoon. Suffer, man, with that temperature. Oh, it's going to be so nice. We're suffering. Northwest wind, 5 to 10 miles per hour, 20% chance of precip. Friday, 60% chance. Both Friday and Saturday has 60% chance of precip. There's a storm that's coming up from Mexico into Arizona. Probably really going to affect southern New Mexico before it gets into Texas. But on Friday, we have partly sunny skies, high near 66 degrees. Northeast wind 10 to 15 miles per hour with a 60% chance of precip. And Saturday, high of only 69 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. So it's going to be a cool weekend, and it could be a wet one because we're also showing, as I told you earlier, that 60% chance of precipitation. Back into our study for today. And don't laugh at my cheapness. My wife is probably rolling her eyes. Say, yeah, he ordered a used one. He didn't go for the $600 one. Then the seventh angel poured out his bowl into the air. Oh, there it is. George let us know that the Feast of Trumpets is beginning sunset September the 22nd. And the one of the headlines that I was looking at was, could Jesus be coming back the 25th of September? So that must be the day that the last trumpet is blowing. I don't know, but could he be coming back? Okay. Yeah, maybe, but maybe not this year, and maybe not next year. Feast of Tabernacle starts Tuesday, October 7th. And when we were in the spring feast, we did a pretty extensive teaching on some of the spring feasts and how it affects the gift and the fruit of the Holy Spirit all summer long. Then the seventh angel poured out his bowl into the air. Loud voice came out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, "It is done." There were noises, thunderings, lightnings. There was a great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on the earth. This earthquake associated with the noises, the thundering, the lightning. I mean, we're coming back from Santa Fe. Well, from Santa Fe on Saturday, and man, the lightning storm on the east. We don't see those very often around here. The way that it was going on, but imagine that lightning, and then the thunder would go along with it, and noises, and a great earthquake. It is done, ladies and gentlemen. It has not occurred. Now, the great city was divided into three parts. What is the great city? No, it's not Jerusalem. It's talking about Babylon. Now, the great city, you say, well, isn't Jerusalem the great city? Not in this case, it's not. And we got some backup for you. We can go through some verses if you want to, but if you're not sure, there's more than a couple of places where it refers to Babylon as the great city. It was divided. Okay. Daniel 4:30 says, "Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power?" So the book of Daniel even talks about Babylon, well, the king himself talks about it as the great city, was divided into three parts. Once again, remember, when you're reading the Bible, be Jerusalem-centric. Well. So if this earthquake hits, is little Las Vegas going to float away? I don't know. But this, you look at it from knowing that all the activity is going on in and around Jerusalem and Israel and the Middle East. Now, the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell. The cities of the nations fell. Never had there been an earthquake on earth like the earthquake of Revelation 16:18. And great Babylon was remembered before God. So all of a sudden, Babylon, oh, yeah, you're that place, you're that entity. Huh? To give her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. So God is giving to Babylon a cup of wine. And the wine here represents the fierceness of his wrath. Now we get into verse 20. We, kind of talked about it earlier. Then every island fled away. What? Fled? I don't know. You wait till we get into the next chapter. We're going to get into that here pretty soon. You want to talk about a lot of, these are mind benders. How do you figure all this stuff? Was, is, but is, wasn't, is, I don't know. We'll be there. Then every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. You say, God, this is terrible. No, this is God remaking the earth. There's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. And God is doing something. Oh, it's terrible. Mountains and flattening out and islands disappearing is the only way they fled away. I don't know how high, but the great hail from heaven fell upon men. Oh, that answers your question. Is there going to be men there or not? Each hailstone was the weight of about a talent. Men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, since that plague was exceedingly great. Now, in my studies, a talent could be around 100 pounds. If you've ever been in a hailstorm, and here in northeastern New Mexico, we get some pretty wild hailstorms occasionally. When have you ever been in a hailstorm? You could have been. People have been in a hailstorm. Let's put it this way: in a hailstorm in their car, and they pull off to the side of the road, make sure their windows are closed, and they say, "We're going to ride this one out," but the hail breaks the windows in the car. Now that's scary. That's really scary. What are you going to do? Hide underneath the car or something like that? I don't know. But I'm telling you, is that 100-pound hailstones? What would a hailstone that weighs the size of a softball? Let's say a huge one, the size of a softball. What would that weigh? I don't know. I would guess a lot less than 10 pounds is what it would weigh, maybe 4 or 5 pounds max. But one that would weigh a talent, okay? Let's see where I was looking at. Talent of silver contains 3,000 shekels, equal to about 94 3/7 of pounds. Okay, so that gives you, and there's different. Saying, well, really, the talent was this many pounds and that many pounds. I saw this one says or 82 pounds. Don't matter. It's a huge one. Those are huge ones. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail. Remember, we are in the pouring out of the fourth bowl into the air. I don't know. Will we be here, or will we be watching it from heaven? I don't know. I don't. Men blaspheme God because of the plague. All I know, this is what I know. Let's go back up to the red letter. Blessed is he who watches, keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Okay. But men blaspheme God because of the plague of the hail, since that plague was exceedingly great. And I would say that the earthquake was exceedingly great too. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me. So it doesn't tell us exactly which one of the 7 angels. How dare they not tell us? Don't you know who we are? We're Americans, man. We need to know those things. One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters." Okay? Now, imagine, okay, a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. Ooh. So a hailstone would be melted down to a gallon would be 8 pounds. That's huge. That's yeah, I can see what a gallon looks like. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters." Now, this explains some of the themes that we've been looking at in previous chapters. There's going to be some explanation here, some revelation, but there's also going to be some stuff that's going to say, well, what does that mean? Anyway, we'll be there real quick. So the angel talks to John and says, "Come, I'm going to show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters." We will find out what the waters mean. We will find out a lot about the harlot, with whom, and here's an important one, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So this isn't a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is a terrible thing, but not the kings are in concert with the harlots. The kings of the earth committed fornication, okay? Spiritual adultery with the harlot. And the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. As they're scrolling on their Facebook page. Just thought I'd throw that one out to you there, okay? And I'm just as guilty as the rest. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. So he says, "Come, let's go. I want to show you something." So he carried him away in the spirit to the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. We have already seen the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. That is not a new revelation in the book of Revelation. This is something that we've seen already in previous chapters. Okay? Chapter 12, it looks like, in chapter 13, when we saw this beast. 7 heads. Now that's a beast in itself, okay, with 7 heads, and then it's got 10 horns. How do you say? And okay, so the woman was sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy. How does the woman? She probably have tattoos all over her body. Okay, that's what I would guess. That's what I was trying to figure out this morning. What do you mean sitting in a garment with names full of blasphemy? What could have been that was tattooed all over her body? Having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, I'm not a big fan of tattoos. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones. Okay, she's sitting on the beast. She's riding the beast. And she has she has names, blasphemous names on her. She's arrayed in purple and scarlet. Whoa, that's pretty nice. Adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls. In those days, ladies and gentlemen, fancy clothing was not the norm, not even close to being the norm. So when he's seen this, he says, boy, that's royalty, man. Having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. Remember that the Lord had handed Babylon a cup, okay? The woman has a cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. Is this still part of the seventh seal? I mean, the seventh, what are we, trumpets in now? We're in trouble? No, the seven bowls is where we're at now. So now I'm thinking, Dana, it would take at least 10 gallons of water to make that hailstone to get it up to about 90 pounds. Yeah, about a talent. On her forehead and on her forehead a name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So what have we learned about it? We learned, okay, that she came, okay, and the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants, okay, were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. There's a connection there, talking about, there's a real spiritual connection, idolatry going along with it, the whole, fall for the beast type of a deal. She has a cup in her hand. She's riding the beast. On her forehead, it is. On her forehead, a name was written, Mystery. Now notice, on the New King James, there's mystery, comma. So it's not Mystery Babylon, if you read this right. It's on her name was written, Mystery, comma, Babylon the Great, comma, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So you wanna talk about a Jezebel spirit? Remember that we were earlier in, what was it, the second or third chapter? I think it was the second chapter. He says, I have this against you, that you allow that woman Jezebel to be amongst you. And it's not the same Jezebel, but it is the same spirit. And here you see it personified. On her forehead, a name was written, Mystery. A mystery. What's the mystery? Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth, which I believe has skipped around to different places. Wherever the empires were, that's where Babylon set up its shop till it fell down. The mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of saints, with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, and when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. The woman is drunk with the blood, so mass persecution, martyrdom is going on. We've seen a lot of that in the book of Revelation. Martyrdom, a lot of them. Remember that we had the souls that were underneath the altar crying out for justice. Now you know why they were crying out for justice. When, Lord, are you going to give us justice? I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, and when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. It says, wow. Okay, George. Harlot George has put in the comments, harlot, occultic religion, kings. George, don't say the deep state. You're going to get me in trouble. So the kings, is that the deep state? And harlot, the occultic religions. I was reading an article earlier about Michael Bublé, talking about his faith. But he never really said, in this one article, that they put on the internet. Hello, yeah, raise your eyes. He says, I really don't identify as a God-fearing Christian. Well, are you a Christian, or because there's a lot of religions that are out there, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of religions that are out there, false religions, and even some of them talk about Jesus a little bit. The angel said to me, why do you marvel? I will tell you the mystery. I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw, and here's where it gets me. Somebody help me out with this one. The beast that you saw is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. Is not what? It was, okay, past tense, is present tense, and will ascend future tense out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. I'm looking at this stuff and I say, well, is the beast or beast or not beast? Was beast, okay. Is not beast gone, but now it's going to ascend out of the bottomless pit to go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. Is that the image that is going to be erected, that's going to cause the inhabitants of the earth to fall for the beast system? The deep state system. The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. So sometimes what we'll do here is we'll go to a parallel version and we'll see about was, is not, and yet is, and see if that can help us out. Well, help me out. I'm the one who needs it, okay? New King James we wrote already. How about the Amplified? Verse 8. Amplified says, will be astonished when they see the beast, because he was and is not and is yet to come. You didn't help me out at all, Amplified. Sometimes the Message, which would be panel number 3, the world will be dazzled when they see the beast that once was, is no longer, and is to come. Still don't have it down yet. Still not sure about the was, is, and is to come type of stuff. But the beast, okay? The beast you saw was, is not, will ascend out of the bottomless pit, go to perdition. Those who dwell in the earth will marvel, whose names are not written, okay? They're still stuck to the beast. When they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. Verse 9. Here is the mind which has wisdom. Dang, I need this right about now. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. So we have a beast with 7 heads, and the angel tells John, I'm going to explain to you what the 7 heads are. There are 7 mountains. How many of you read over the years that the 7 mountains are Rome? And they go into this whole thing about the founders of Rome. What were those brothers' names? I think they were twins, and Romulus and Remus, and the 7 mountains on which the town was. Yeah, exactly right, Andrea. They're talking about Romulus and Remus, and they're talking about the 7 mountains, and they're talking about that's where Rome was built, was on the seven mountains, and that's where the Vatican is. And they go into this whole thing of trashing the Catholic Church. That's where it is. That's where it is. Okay. I've read that one many times before. Within the last probably 10, 15 years, there's been a talk about the seven mountains, a mountain, I'm not going to think of all of them, but the seven mountains. And if you understand the backstory of the seven mountains, the way that I'm talking about it now, mountain of education, mountain of religion, mountain of business, somebody help me out real quick. All the, the seven mountains of authority in the world, and how we should be involved in and redeeming the seven mountains: business, education, religion. I think family is one of them. Didn't do my homework on the seven mountains. But there's, what are they? Well, a lot of help you are, Angel. The seven heads are the seven mountains on which the woman sits. Well, thanks a lot. There are also seven kings. 5 have fallen and 1 is. How are we going to figure all of that out, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. How we're going to bring all that into understanding, I'm not sure how we're going to bring it all into understanding. But let's play a song and let's get us up to the top of the hour. We've already started. Kurt Collins singing Jesus Paid It All.
To him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. Lord, now indeed I find thy power and thine alone can change the leper's spots and melt the heart of stone. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. White as snow. White as snow. White as snow. And when before the throne I stand in him complete, Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat, Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. He washed it white as snow.
Good morning, Las Vegas. You are listening to KLYN 90.3 FM, a ministry of Cornerstone Church. It's a Thursday morning, the 4th day of September. 52 degrees is your current temperature here in town, and humidity at 74%. Full weather reports coming up for you here on 90.3 at the bottom of every hour. I'll be with you till noon. Cisco V1 covering the second half of the midday program and all the way till 6 o'clock this evening. And there was something else I wanted to say about that, but I didn't. You're also listening on Facebook and on YouTube. We have a website. We also have a email address. Both of those you can see on the Facebook or YouTube page. And we're going to try to get back into the 17th chapter here as we're getting ready to leave in about 10 minutes. All right, George had something. Let me go through some of the comments, and the comments are coming through real well. I appreciate comments. According to the International Standard Version, this is the way that verse 8 read. The beast that you saw existed once, but is no longer, and is going to crawl out of the bottomless pit, and then it proceeds to its destruction. So that kind of helps me out a little bit. Also, George helping me out with the 7 mountains. And let me look at our webpage that I was, where was it that I was looking at 7 mountains. Okay, looked at this up on the internet. Religion, number 1, family, education, government, media, arts and entertainment, and business. And I would encourage you to find out what the background on the 7 mountains and the 2 great Christian men that came up with them independently and then found out that God was telling them the same thing at the same time. Okay, let's see what else I have on the comment section before we get back into there. George says entertainment. Leroy says the world systems. Exactly right. The world systems. Could the kings be empires throughout history? Oh, now you're throwing something else at us. Could the kings, remember, what is it, the horns represent the kings, or the 7 heads, I think it is, represent the kings? Could it be empires? Because we talk about empires a lot. Egypt had its time as an empire. Persia had its time as an empire. Greece had its time as an empire. Rome had its time as an empire. Western Europe had its time as an empire. United States is still considered an empire. Oh, no, we're not. We're not like those. Oh, come on, Laser. Wake up. Wake up. Okay. Uh-oh. China, did you leave us already? Come on, man. Here's the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads. Verse 9. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Okay, 7 heads, 7 mountains, 7 kings. There's 7. 5 have fallen. 1 is, and the other has not yet come. Ooh, now I like that one. 5 of the, if they're empires, I'm looking at it through that, historical route. 5 of them have fallen. 1 is, and the other has not yet come. So when John was being shown this, I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about there is one today, but there is one coming. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what John was seeing and what John was writing. Where are we in this? I don't know. Well, that's why we're listening. You're the one that's supposed to tell us. Oh, no. Go. Get all mixed up on the internet. There are 5 fallen. 1 is, the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The 7th king. 5 have fallen. 1 is. Now, here's more confusing. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th and is of the 7. Okay. Well, is he one of the 7 or not? Huh? The beast that was and is not. He himself is also the eighth. That's kind of like what was the ISV was telling us. Let me go there. Uh, uh, Existed once, but is no longer, and is going to crawl out of the bottomless pit. 7 kings. The beast is, I guess, the eighth, but really is of the 7. Told you it was going to make you think this morning. The 10 horns. Okay, so we see the beast. Okay? What was the beast? 7 heads, 10 horns, crowns on every one of the horns. The woman was riding her. Don't forget the harlot that was there. 10 horns. What you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they will receive for 1 hour as kings with the beast. So what have you heard about the 10 kings over the years? I mean, come on, dude. I've been reading books and reading the Bible now for a few decades, okay? So at one time, the big talk was, this is the European common market. There's 10 nations that have got together. And then an 11th nation came in and people had to backtrack. And then one of them tried leaving, and they said, well, that's what's going on. George asked the question, is the beast the Antichrist? Maybe Dana or Leroy can answer that for you, George. Was the beast the Antichrist? Definitely of an Antichrist spirit. Very well could be the Antichrist. Very well. Remember what John said? Many Antichrists have gone out into the world. The beast was not, is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. The battle is on. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they will receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. You say, well, what's the 1 hour? What is that, just 1 hour? I don't know. These are of one mind, the 10, okay? 10 horns that are on the 7 heads of the beast that is being ridden by the women, okay, are 10 kings. They're of one mind. They will give their power and authority to the beast, okay? They're having their own, sorry to come up with a word that, you remember we were talking earlier about the disciplines. They have their own koinonia going on. 10 kings will give their power and authority to the beast. We're all together now. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them. I mean, you can read the book of Revelation sometimes and study it, and kind of everything gets a little dark, and just about the time you think that, the darkness is over going to take, the Lamb shows up. Oh, who's going to open up? Nobody can open up the seals. Oh, yeah, the Lamb showed up. Verse 14, these will make war with the Lamb. The Lamb will overcome them. Aren't you glad that you're following the Lamb? Aren't you glad that you're watching? Aren't you glad that you're clothed and you're not naked, and that your shame is not shown? Those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. With who? With the Lamb. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw where the harlot sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Now that I can understand. Okay? She was riding the beast was over the waters that you saw, he says, represent peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So humanity. And the 10 horns which you saw are on the beast. These will hate the harlot and make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Now, the harlot is riding the beast, okay? The beast has heads and horns. All kinds of things are going on. We find out who the horns are. We find out who they are in concert with, but they hate the harlot. She's riding the beast, but they hate her. And below them are the waters. The people, all the tongues and nations of the world are there. The 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Well, they're fighting amongst themselves. No house. What did Jesus say about a house divided amongst itself? Hello? For God has put into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, to give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. God had put it into their hearts. Who's in control here? That's what I want to know. I think this verse really gives us into that place. To be of one mind, to give their kingdom to the beast. And there's probably where we're talking, as George brought it up earlier, could this be the Antichrist in the midst of many Antichrists? Until the words of God are fulfilled. You hear the music, you know what that means, don't you? And the woman who you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. I think we tried to establish what that great city was, and there was going to be an earthquake, and the earthquake was going to divide the great city into three, and that great city was in Jerusalem. So the woman who you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth, Babylon. Thank you for watching. We'll get into chapter 18 tomorrow at 6:10. And thank you for all your input and for being there, for your comments, or just for listening along with us. Glory be to the Lord.
There